Hi, this is Beth Cooper, and welcome to another Bluebird Chat. This time we're going to be talking with Dan Marshall, who will be doing a plein air watercolor workshop in September.
Hi everybody, this is Beth Cooper from Bluebird Studios, and I'm so excited to have with me Dan Marshall. He is like one of the best watercolorists in the whole country. His name always comes up when I have, students and we're talking about watercolor. So there he is. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, thanks for having me, Beth, and very nice to hear that. So thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Taking the time.
before I started recording, we were talking about our Colorado days because we lived in Golden for 30 years. Dan's workshop is going to run September 2nd. That will be, and that's actually, is that the day after Labor Day? Yeah, it is. Okay, so that's the day after Labor Day, so which I think is a good segue from maybe having a vacation here and then staying on. Because that's really honestly possibly the prettiest time of the year to be in Santa Fe is September and October. September 2nd, that's at 5 p.m. And that's just a casual get to know Dan, meet him, get your gear set up, come to the studio so you're not scrambling the first morning, not mandatory. Then we're going to have a 4 days, right, of plein air.
Yep. And the I go down to Santa Fe a lot. It's a 5-hour drive, no big deal.
Right?
So I'm really excited, and I do go down a lot in September, October. So I'm really comfortable with being there at that time. And I've heard so much about the studios and coming to Bluebird. So this will be my first year there, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to kind of be hosted at a great place with a great person who runs it and owns it in Beth. And
That's great. So
That's
we're
great.
getting to the point where there's not going to be any more spots left, right? So,
Well,
you're my only full-time plein air workshop this year. Usually I'll do at least two. I mean, I did one with Jeff Allen, who I'm sure you know well.
yeah,
And then
sure.
I've done one with John Taft, who's a Colorado artist.
Hello, buddy. Love
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, and we always have so much fun because that time of year we go out to wonderful places. Um so Dan, we haven't even really talked about how you want this to be structured. So why don't you tell everybody kind of your vision of the workshop?
Generally speaking, I do a lot of online teaching. I do a lot of, you know, Zoom-based things, and so the main benefit of the in-person workshop is it's a tactile experience. So most people say, "Oh, I didn't even realize you were doing that or moving your brush that way," because even though we see it online, it's so much different than when you experience it, with in life as we live
Right,
it.
right.
Um, so generally, I like to kind of do like the morning of the first day is it's kind of like let's get our feet wet, let's get on the same page. And if I'd like to keep it in the studio if possible. If it's not in the studio, that's fine too. Just to kind of set the tone for kind of direction of process, direction of some of the skills that make plein air more successful. And if we go out into the field unarmed, like if it's the first time you've painted in plein air, that's great. It's like jumping out of the plane with no parachute.
It
And I'm
really
gonna
is.
parachute, and as you're falling, you'll get that parachute on. But it can be plein air can be tricky, but it's the most rewarding and it's the most important aspect in your growth as a painter, I feel. Seeing with your own eyes, not being tricked by the algorithm that is happening in your digital cameras and giving you false information that you try to think you have to duplicate. So the
Right.
work really, the main focus of the workshop is to give you the tools and the skills to do the paintings that you want to do, work in the way that you want to work. So focused on sort of the fundamental foundational art truths that are mediumless. So there'll be heavy talk about composition. There'll be heavy talk about um, handling the medium and not just watercolor, watercolor. It's called watercolor, but it does
Right.
this how you work it. So technique-based stuff, art theory-based stuff, color theory, design choices, how to see, and finding the importance of the thing that we're looking at. So most of the time when we take that picture and we want to paint it, it's because there's a pleasing arrangement of shapes, regardless of what that subject matter might be. So there's a lot of focus on how to really develop how you're seeing as an artist, and that leads to scene selection, subject selection, composition, design, color theory, drawing, all of the things that sort of, esoteric-y, arty, artsy, generally speaking. If we do the first morning in the studio, it just kind of gets us all comfortable in with our materials and how we're working. And then when we're out in the field, I usually start with a demo that'll take 45 minutes to an hour. And whatever it takes me to paint it, the students get twice the amount of time. So that way there's no rush.
The first morning, we'll meet in the studio, and then we'll, like you said, a kind of a lecture demo, and there's plenty of subject matter around our little ranch. I mean, tons and tons. I mean, that will start out here, and then the last day, honestly, everybody's starting to get fatigued, and then the last day, maybe we'll stay around the ranch and paint.
Yeah.
We have horses. I don't know if you know that. We have 3 horses. Are you wanting to go out into the field? I mean, like up maybe to the ski basin, or out to Pecos Monastery, or do some things like that.
We will probably have, some fun excursions.
Hmm.
I also want to make sure that everyone gets plenty of time to paint.
Hmm.
So, um, and I will also, usually in a 4-day workshop, one of the evenings, I like to do a fun demo kind of thing that might not be, it might be different subject matter. So it was the idea of horses. Horses are great. If you don't know horse anatomy, don't think your first horse is going to be a good painting. And if you don't do people, don't think that your first person painting is going to be great. And if it's a horse and a person, well, geez, that is difficult subjects grouped into one. So sometimes I like to do something fun like that, whether we do start off comfortable. Like we start off, like we're not going to just throw you out to the wolves. So that's very important to know that we'll get you comfortable before we go out. And
Okay. I like that.
get the tempo of every group is different. Well, maybe we'll just take it easy and not traverse out somewhere too far. So, I like to keep it just flexible.
Yeah, I like that. And because honestly, sometimes painting outside at the golden hour, which is,
Right.
later, is the best. I mean, you're like basically leaving the studio when the light gets the best, around 4 or 5.
Right.
So we
Absolutely.
could do something like that. And so yeah, I really like the idea of keeping that flexible. And I can just work together on that when you get here,
Right.
And I'll take
Goes
you
in-
around to some places, because when we pick plein air places to paint, 2 criteria: has to be good parking and bathrooms accessible.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
what my students really require, and so do I.
I just
So
bush. I just need some rabbit bush or a tree.
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, we'll definitely keep it comfortable, and I won't be trekking the group out into the middle of nowhere. We'll keep it.
Well, I'm glad to hear too that it is for beginners, right?
Well,
You,
it's
you
for anyone. So here's the thing that I like to say about watercolor is I would say 80%, 85% of the students that I work with have decades of bad habits and an approach to watercolor that is what I like to call coloring books for adults. And what I really do is we are really working with the medium. We are exploiting the medium from its thinnest washes to pure pigment. And I like to call my workshops the great equalizers. So sometimes I'll get a host that says, "Oh, we've got some really talented painters in here." I'm like, "Well, they're talented in what they do. They wouldn't be here if they weren't happy or wanting to learn some new stuff." So I don't care if you're beginner or intermediate or advanced. There's going to be takeaways. There's going to be new ways of approaching things. 'Cause a lot of times I'm breaking the rules on how you're using watercolor. So you may be a great painter, but you don't draw. Well, we're gonna crack the whip on getting you how to draw, how to see, how to learn to construct your own paintings, and not just do this duplication of either what you're seeing or what your photo is or any of that kind of stuff. I had to limit, I would say, like experienced beginners. I beginner in the sense of this is your first little
Time to
watercolor
pick
kit.
up a paintbrush. Yeah.
But anyone is welcome, because I'd rather get you started with good
Mhm.
habits rather than things that you'll are going to become speed bumps on your I like to call it your adventure of watercolor.
One of the comments I get a lot is like, I'm not good enough to take a workshop. I'm
Right.
like,
Well, that,
what?
that's
And people are very intimidated by it, and then you throw in plein air, that's a whole different animal, right? But
I'm happy to, anyone who is interested in the medium, passionate about creative, or you've been a creative and you want to express yourself. There's basically room for everybody. And the way that I lead through things, the way that I present, it's if you may not know what a thumbnail sketch is, that's fine. You're going to learn. You may not know what a notan sketch is.
right.
Great. You're
Yeah, a
gonna
lot of
you're
people,
gonna
that's a
learn.
new concept to a lot of people.
Yeah. And working with the medium and you're just frustrated and struggling, we're gonna have ways that are gonna really simplify things. Most of what I do is this major simplification that then becomes elegant and uh, interesting and sophisticated, but it starts with the simplicity. So we want to try harder, or we feel like we should be doing more, and the reality is we should be doing less, in that
I
sense
like
of
that.
simplify. And then as your technique develops, as you start to kind of grow in your skill set and your toolbox, all of a sudden it was a little carry-on. Now you've got a big roll-away toolbox.
Yeah,
Um, then we take those simple things and we make them more and more complex.
I love that. I mean, I already got some good advice already. That's awesome. Well,
Cool.
just a little bit about Bluebird too. When we're in the studio, and like you said, this from this conversation, we know that Dan and I are going to be very fluid as far as, how the week looks. But I offer catered lunches because it's better than picking up, a burrito at 7-Eleven on your way to class. They're $20. We actually bring lunch out to the field. Fresh chopped salads from a local gourmet bake deli, or maybe homemade gourmet sandwiches from a local deli, another local deli. The last day, I provide a complimentary lunch that's frito chili pie, and I make the chili myself. And even last year, we took it out to the field and had a picnic out at the Audubon Center here. So that was really fun. Otherwise, we'll have that back here at the studio if we're painting. So, like I said, so that would be three lunches catered in. One lunch is complimentary. And then I also have continental breakfast I serve every morning. Excuse me, out in the field, I still bring all that stuff out there, well, except for the toaster. But I'll have hard-boiled eggs, yogurt, pastries, a whole bunch of hot coffee, water. Great, I bring like 5 gallons of water. So everybody's just really taken care of here. That's one thing that, it makes it easier, especially in the field. I always have cookies on hand, lots and lots of cookies.
Keep that energy up. Well, that's great. We're not going to waste away, that's for sure.
No, no, everybody's
And I,
everybody's
and I
like,
happen
no,
to
I can't
have,
eat another cookie. And I have apples and oranges and stuff like that too. So I do try to start class early one day, like maybe instead of at 9, started at 8:30 or 30 minutes earlier. Then we break 30 minutes earlier so we don't lose painting time. And if you want to do this, we'll go down to Canyon Road or whatever and go see some galleries, and then go and have a group dinner.
oh, that sounds great. That
Yeah,
sounds like,
my favorite workshops really are always in the fall when we're outside.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, it'll be really fun. And your work is so amazing, and your name always comes up. You wouldn't believe how often Dan Marshall comes up in my workshops, you know?
Really happy to have the opportunity to come down, and I've heard so many good things about you and about Bluebird. I love the workshops where people can kind of hang out a little bit after. So I mean, sometimes people are tired, they just want to go, but because I really enjoy the companionship and the camaraderie that we form as a group. I presume familiarity, and we are instantly friends. And I try to bring that to the group and just make sure everybody is happy. Yeah.
I'm exactly the same way, what you just described. I just assume that they're here. We're friends now. They'll always be friends. In fact, one of my saying is, friends is you walk through a door as a stranger and you depart as friends. And I had most of my, not most, but I'd say 40% of my students are repeats, if not more, because this is my fourth year. And I just really mother hen everybody.
Nice. We will be well taken care of.
Yes, you will. And anybody that's hesitant about being new at this or new at plein air or watercolor, I think that this conversation will settle some of those fears.
I hope so.
Thanks, Dan, and I will see you in a few months, and it will be here before we know it. Dan.
Thanks for having me, Beth. We'll see you soon.
Okay.